Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode on the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over today's SBC being Leon Bailey, as well as we're going to go over Road to the Final Team 3, what we need to know about that, what we're going to see from it, and we'll take a look at last year, how it affected the market, as well as we'll kind of take a look at the market and kind of do an outlook on what's to come this week. It should be pretty good. Today's SBC, real quick, was this card right here. He honestly looks pretty cool. He's a decent card. He's only 88k, which again, really cheap, really good value. 4-star, 4-star. I don't have a problem with this SBC. I think he's fairly decent. If you want to do him, go for it. He's not the greatest player, but he's really not bad at all. And he looks really good. I'm not even gonna get into it too much. Again, it's just an 85 rated team, so really cheap as well. Now, with the current state of the market, obviously we're starting to get into that weekend league sell-off period. The index 100 right now, as you can see, has actually gone up a little bit for PS4 recently. But still, that's just the market as a whole. As far as, some of our bigger cards like, Neymar and stuff like that, they're starting to, they're starting to look a little bit weak in the buying power, a little bit more of a sell-off. Neymar back under 700k. But still a really big rise. Now I say back under 700k because he was a little bit over it. Earlier today or last night. But he's back down a little bit. But we saw a huge rise in the market from Friday, and it's kind of just carried over. We haven't seen the biggest sell off on some of these cards yet. But it's kind of a case by case scenario. Some cards going down, some cards going up. Rashford's gold card, as you can see, has gone down, obviously, in the last day or so. But cards like Neymar have done well. So, it really varies based on a card-by-card scenario. With, obviously, the icon market we looked at yesterday. And with icons, they're still continuing to drop down, and it doesn't surprise me. Basically, what's happening is these primes are coming out, and these primes are kind of fixing prices on all these other cards. Prime started really big, which is why we didn't see an initial sell-off, on them. But now that these primes are starting to come down to realistic prices, it's, changing some of the alternatives and dropping them down as well. We could take a look at Essien here. He's one of the bigger drops, for the week. The mid card, obviously the base version is actually the better card, that, as some people say. The base is obviously a little more expensive, but you've seen it come down because that prime has, finally been put onto the market. The prime is pulling down, the rest of the prices, even though the prime actually hasn't been on the market. But the case goes for some of these other cards. I didn't know Essien wasn't on the market, but still, just with all the other primes are forcing down cards like we could take a look at. I think Hullet is on the market now. I know he was on the PlayStation a few times. So base Hullet, for example, he's come down quite a bit. He's starting to come down. Now the base version is obviously very different from the mid, but he's down a decent amount on Xbox, a decent amount on PlayStation. With the Prime out, I don't think the Prime is out on Xbox yet. But now with that Prime out, there's going to be less and less demand for the mid. And the mid is going to start to take a hit, as well as some of these other versions. As you can see, it's starting to decrease down about 300k. Now, I want to try and find a card that does have all three versions on both markets, just because it'll be a better example. Let's see. We can... Eto is on the market. That's his Prime, I think, right? Yeah. So we use Eto, for example. Now that his Prime is on the PlayStation market, he's about 6 mil. This is going to obviously continue to drop down. It'll drag his other prices down, which it kind of has. He's currently a little higher, but these cards are going to continue to drag down is what I'm saying. So now moving on, obviously Road to the Final. We saw a big bunch of upgrades. We're supposed to see a Team 3. It was announced on EA's little website, and this Proms card, I think he's a little inflated due to what had happened, him apparently being arrested. Interesting scenario, but yeah, with him, doing that, we might see some interesting things with that card. Taking a look at some of the other Road to the Finals, again, you're going to continue to see them kind of decrease as we head into, a long break between Champions League and UC or Europa League. That's just a scenario that happens. You're going to see this gap go down until about Team of the Year. Then they'll start to reverse as we get closer and closer. But again, we have to stay patient. Now, FIFA 20 Road to the Final Team 3. If I'm not wrong, and I spelt it wrong, if I'm not wrong, we got a third team with not like it wasn't a full team. It was like 5 and 5. I think it was. I don't know. We did get a Team 3 last year, I'm pretty sure. Essentially what it was, though, was we only saw a few cards come in. It was like 5 cards. It wasn't anything crazy. And I think we're going to see that, coming this week. Now, what will Road to the Final Team 3 do? It won't do anything serious to the market. It really won't damage it at all, honestly. I feel like, the cards will be like any promo cards. Essentially, they'll start up very high, they'll continue to decrease, and then they'll just hop in the same trend as the current Road to the Final Team, cards go. Depending on supply, obviously, that's a little bit different, but they should be fairly, similar in price. I don't expect really too much. Essentially, I think we're going to see a few more Europa League cards than UCL ones. That'll be interesting just because now that we're into that round of 32 and we're into that stage of upgrades, it's easier for EA to kind of narrow down on who to select for these cards, and that's essentially all that they're doing. So, with that being said, though, again, we can take a look at some more of the market. I don't expect too much for Road to the Final Team 3, like I said, and the reason is just there won't be as much hype as, there's such a big gap. Now, the special cards, again, they have kind of stayed steady. They're a little bit down, but nothing too crazy. With these cards, obviously, we're going to continue to get more and more special cards coming in, and just more supply alternatives and all that. So just keep an eye out for that. Similar to the icons, what you're going to see is, how we're getting the prime versions. It's going to drop down the mids and the bases. You're going to see the same thing happen here with some of these cards now. The more and more versions they get, you'll likely see the other versions start to drop down. And this is just due to price, the efficiency a card may bring, as well as, just this scenario of panic selling, is what I'm trying to say. The scenario of people panicking and stuff for that. Now, taking a look at this card, let's take a look at the Prime. How does the Prime look? Prime is extinct on Xbox still, too. I'm trying to find which of these cards is actually on the market for both consoles. That way I can give an accurate example of what is going to happen. A card that's actually fairly priced, though. So I guess we can use Prime Gigs. Gigs obviously isn't the greatest card, but with Prime Gigs, as you can see, he's on both markets. So essentially, you're starting to see that huge initial drop that we looked at. With all the icons, you're going to continue to see this guy go down a little bit more until he's priced fairly. But what you're going to see is the mid and the base are also likely going to be down too. As you can see, he's continuing to decrease. And as that Prime gets hit more and more, so will the other versions. This is just going to be due to the fact that, the alternative version of this guy, which is much better, honestly, the Prime from the base, in my opinion, gets a lot of, really efficient stats. So it's a completely different card. So with that version becoming cheaper and cheaper, you'll likely see that. And that'll happen with all the other icons as well. Obviously, you still have to wait for something like Xbox with much less supply. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer until we see these cards get more and more on the market. But with that being said, that's how it will be. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please drop a thumbs up. Again, I'm sorry. We've kind of just been doing a few market watches. The weekend, it just feels like once the promos drop, there's not too much more to talk about. With all the stuff we get. I mean, I could do daily SBCs, but the SBCs don't require me to talk about them for 5-10 minutes every time. You can really just take a look. We'll talk about them within the video, but we have a lot of market watches. We're just kind of waiting for what's to come this week with all the content that's already came out, like the preparation. We've prepared for it all. So obviously this week we'll likely get some hints on what's to come next weekend. Will it be a Freeze Team 2? Will it just be a Road to the Final Team 3? We'll cover it later this week. We also are going to be having a Team of the Week video come out either later tonight or tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that. Again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the support recently. It really has been insane. You guys are great, really. So thank you for all that. The growth has been amazing, and yeah. With that being said, until next time, guys,